No one expected to see Prince Harry like this. One moment in a courtroom shook Kate Middleton to her core, and what she did next was something Prince William never wanted. When Prince Harry stepped into a UK courtroom to testify against Associated Newspapers, the atmosphere was heavy, heavier than usual. But here's the question. Do you think this was just a legal matter, or was it something far more personal? This case wasn't only about past privacy violations, it was also about how Meghan Markle was treated during her time as a working royal, and how the effects of those experiences are still being felt today. But the most surprising thing wasn't the legal arguments, it was Harry himself. Have you ever noticed how someone who usually keeps their emotions guarded can suddenly break in a moment? That's exactly what happened, and it changed everything for Kate. What would you feel if someone you know to be strong suddenly looked vulnerable in public? That's exactly the reaction Kate reportedly had. According to sources, Kate Middleton was deeply concerned seeing Harry in such a fragile state. She knows him well, she knows he rarely shows tears in public, so when he did, it was not just surprising, it was alarming. Now think about this. When someone close to you shows emotion in a way you've never seen, do you step back or reach out? Kate did the latter. Behind palace walls, she reportedly couldn't stop thinking about Harry's condition. The exhaustion, the tension, the quiet vulnerability that had escaped his public composure. And with each passing moment, her concern grew. But here's the complication. Her concern inevitably led back to Prince William. Kate has always been careful around the relationship between the brothers. She understands the depth of William's anger, the disappointment, and the years of unresolved tension. And now she faced a dilemma. What matters more, staying loyal to her husband's boundaries or responding to a moment of visible human pain? What would you do if you were in her shoes? Stay silent out of respect, or step in because someone is hurting? Reports say she tried gently, quietly, to encourage William to see things from a different perspective. Not to excuse the past, not to erase the pain, but to simply acknowledge that Harry's current state required attention. She wasn't asking for reconciliation, she wasn't asking for public gestures, she just wanted perspective. But William reportedly remained distant, and that distance pushed Kate toward a decision she might never have imagined making. She reached out. No public statement, no palace briefing, no media involvement, just a private, human gesture of support. In the royal world, silence often speaks louder than words, and this silence carried weight. Her goal wasn't to challenge William or force reconciliation. She simply wanted to offer reassurance, to remind Harry that, despite everything, he wasn't completely alone. But that decision came with consequences. William, sources say, was not happy. For him, distance from Harry wasn't accidental. It was a boundary built over years of disappointment and hurt. And when Kate gently crossed that line, tension emerged. Not a confrontation, but a quiet strain, the kind you feel in the air when two people see the same situation very differently. Still, Kate did not back down. Her hope, according to insiders, is that time will do what pressure cannot. That seeing compassion in action might eventually soften William's stance, not immediately, but gradually. She believes that empathy doesn't erase accountability, that kindness doesn't invalidate pain, and that genuine concern is never a betrayal. If this story is making you see the royal family differently, take a moment to like this video. It helps more people hear this story. The image of Harry in court may fade from headlines, but its emotional impact remains inside the palace. It reopened wounds, it stirred concern, and it forced at least one royal to act, even if that action wasn't welcomed by everyone. Kate Middleton knew she was walking a very fine line. On one side was her husband, the future king, who had drawn firm emotional boundaries and believed they were necessary. On the other side was Prince Harry, a man who, at least in that courtroom moment, no longer seemed capable of carrying everything alone. The challenge wasn't the past anymore, it was the present. Sources say Kate wasn't reacting to headlines or media commentary. She was reacting to what she saw with her own eyes. A man she knows to be strong, yet visibly broken in public. His exhaustion, the tension in his expression, the vulnerability that had slipped past the public mask. And with every passing moment, her concern reportedly deepened. Have you ever seen someone you admire, someone you think always has it together, suddenly show vulnerability? How would that make you feel? That's exactly how Kate reportedly felt seeing Harry. This wasn't the first time she had worried about him, but this time it crossed a threshold. She reportedly felt that doing nothing would be far worse than taking a risk. And so, according to insiders, Kate made a choice, a quiet, deliberate step that went against Prince William's wishes. She reached out. No public statement, no palace announcement, no media involvement. Just a private gesture of support. In the royal world, silence often speaks louder than words, and this silence carried enormous weight. Her intention, sources say, wasn't to force reconciliation or undermine William. She simply wanted to offer reassurance, to remind Harry that, despite the distance, he wasn't completely alone. To Kate, empathy didn't mean choosing sides. It meant responding to a visible moment of distress with humanity. But of course, every action has consequences. William, sources suggest, was not pleased. For him, the distance from Harry was no accident. It was a boundary built over years of disappointment and unresolved anger. And when Kate quietly crossed that boundary, tension naturally emerged, not in the form of arguments or outbursts, but as a subtle strain in the air. Imagine being in that position, two brothers, each with his own pain, and one person trying to bridge a gap. What would you do? Would you step in or respect the boundary? Still, Kate did not retreat. According to reports, her hope is simple but profound. That time will do what pressure cannot. That showing compassion might gradually soften William's stance, not overnight but eventually. She believes that empathy doesn't erase accountability, that kindness doesn't invalidate pain, and that concern, when genuine, is never a betrayal. Think about it. Have you ever stepped in for someone quietly, without announcing it to the world? How did it feel to offer support when no one was watching? Kate's choice reflects that very human instinct. If you're finding this story as compelling as we do, take a moment to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Kate did the right thing? What makes this story so powerful is what isn't said publicly. No official statement, no pushback, no media management, just quiet action. And the impact of that action speaks volumes. Is Kate acting as a bridge, or is she standing alone in the middle of a widening divide? That's the question the palace is quietly facing. For now, sources say her biggest hope remains unchanged. That William will eventually recognise Harry's emotional state as a signal, not a threat. And that, with time, some understanding may replace the distance. But until that happens, the tension remains. Harry's courtroom appearance may fade from headlines, but its emotional impact lingers. Behind palace walls, where the real story unfolds. It reopened old wounds, prompted action, and revealed just how fragile these family dynamics still are. This isn't a story about winners or losers. It's a story about restraint, about empathy, about the difficult decisions we make when emotion collides with loyalty. Kate's decision may never be acknowledged publicly. It may never lead to reconciliation. But it marks a moment where compassion outweighed caution. And after Harry's tears, one thing is clear. Something shifted. Do you feel that shift too? What would you do if you were in Kate's position? Support quietly or respect the distance? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to follow this story as it develops and hear more royal moments that rarely make the headlines, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because sometimes the quietest actions inside the palace speak louder than any headline.